The red sun was high in the sky, burning down on the long hiring line. Zura stood there, her arms shaking from holding her child too long. The little one, barely 3 years old, was silent now, too tired to cry. His head rested against her chest, and his body was warm with fever. Zura had wrapped him in her own scarf. Even though the dry wind cut at her skin, they had not eaten in 2 days. This was the 7th hiring station she had visited. 6 had already told her the same thing: no single mothers, no children, allowed on work sites. Try somewhere else. But there was nowhere else left. Her species, the Trellick, were proud and strong. Or at least they had been. War had taken much. Her mate was gone, lost in the Battle of Korath. Her home was burned. Her tribe scattered. And now she was nothing but a beggar with a child, standing among strangers on a planet that didn't want her. Next. The alien guard shouted. She stepped forward, careful not to wake her child. The employer, a tall creature with sharp skin plates, looked at her file. Then he glanced at the sleeping boy. "You didn't mention the child." "I can work," she said quickly. "He won't be a problem. I just need shelter and food. Please." The employer frowned. "You'll slow down the team." "I can't risk it." "But, next." She tried to speak again, but the guard stepped in. "Move aside." Zura didn't argue. She had learned not to. She walked to the edge of the square and sat in the dust. Her arms were numb. Her legs ached. Her heart felt hollow. Other aliens passed her with cold eyes. Some looked at her child with disgust, as if his small body was disease. A merchant laughed nearby. "She thinks someone will hire her. Huh, no one wants a broken worker." Zura closed her eyes. Maybe he was right. Maybe this was the end of the road. The sky darkened as the sun dipped low. Soon the cold night would come, and she had nowhere to go. No credits. No strength. She looked down at her son. His eyes opened slowly. He gave a weak smile. "I'm not hungry anymore, Mama," he whispered, but that only made her heart break more. He was lying. He was trying to protect her. Tears stung her eyes, but she blinked them away. She had to stay strong. Just one more day, just one more night. A soft voice spoke behind her. "Are you looking for work?" Zura turned quickly. A man stood there. Tall, wide-shouldered, with sunburned skin and strange clothes. His eyes were kind, but sharp, like he saw everything. A strange smell came from him. Metal, oil, and something sweet. He was a human. She had never seen one this close. Most Trellick feared them. They were rare, and people said many things, some good, some terrible. "Yes," she said quietly, "but no one will hire me." The man looked at the child in her arms, then at her hands, blistered, strong, calloused. "You look like someone who works hard," he said. "I do," she nodded. "I can clean. I can lift, I can cook. I've worked on machines too. I learn fast. What's your name?" "Zura." He crouched in front of her, and for a moment, her muscles tensed. But he didn't attack. He didn't mock her. He didn't walk away. "I'm David," he said. "I own a repair farm outside the city. It's a long ride. It's not fancy. But I need help, and I could use someone I can trust." She stared at him, unsure. "You want to hire me with my child?" He nodded. "I don't care about that. A mother who keeps her child alive in a world like this. That's someone I want on my team." Zura couldn't speak. No one had ever said words like that to her. Her hands tightened around her child. "What's the pay?" "Food, shelter, safety," David said, "and maybe a little peace." She hesitated. It could be a trick. Some men pretended to help and then sold women into darker things. David saw the fear in her eyes. "I'll take you back tonight. But only if you say yes. You don't owe me anything." She looked into his eyes. They were calm, not empty like the others. Not greedy, just tired. And kind. Zura stood slowly. I'll go with you, David smiled. All right then. Let's get you both out of this dust. As he led them to his transport vehicle, a few aliens watched from the shadows. One of them whispered to another, "Did you see that? A human hired her? Why would he waste his time?" Zura didn't hear them, for the first time in weeks. Her child was safe in her arms, and there was hope in her heart. But what she didn't know was this: David had secrets of his own. And deep behind his repair farm, something powerful and dangerous waited. Zura didn't expect the transport to fly, but it did. The machine David owned looked old and patched together, like it shouldn't even move. But when he pressed a button on the side, it hummed, lifted slowly off the ground, and glided into the dark sky. Her child gasped and pointed out the small round window. It was his first time off the ground. Zura sat silently, clutching the seat straps, trying not to let her fear show. She had never been this far from the city before, never trusted a stranger this quickly. And now she was flying across empty desert land with a human she had met only hours ago. "Are you all right?" David asked from the pilot's seat. Zura nodded. "Yes, just not used to this." He smiled. "You will be." The transport flew for almost 2 hours, across black sand, jagged rocks, and glowing desert plants. No towns, no lights, only silence and stars. Finally, lights appeared in the distance, soft, warm, golden lights, rising from metal towers and small domes. David landed the ship beside a long fence made of scrap and wires. There was a gate, but it looked broken. On the fence hung a hand-painted sign: "Trespassers will regret it." Zura raised an eyebrow. "You live here?" "Yeah, it's not much, but it's mine." He opened the hatch. The air smelled cleaner. Here, cold, but not harsh. She stepped out, her boots crunching on the gravel. David led her through the gate. "This is my repair farm. I fix machines for trade, mostly alien equipment, some human stuff too. I live alone." She followed him, past tool sheds, broken bots, and strange machines she couldn't name. There were solar panels, water tanks, and a rusted generator humming like a hungry beast. Then she saw it, a locked metal shed at the far end, surrounded by fences and sensors. It had no windows. "Don't go near that one," David said quickly. Zura didn't ask why. Instead, she asked, "Where do I stay?" He pointed to a small metal dome near his own. "You and your child will sleep there. It's warm, safe, and has everything you need." Inside, it was simple but clean: 2 beds, a heater, a sink, and even a food dispenser. Zura set her child down gently. He was already asleep. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. David shrugged. "Don't thank me yet. You're not here as charity. You're here to work, and I'm strict." "I'm used to that," she said softly. He nodded. "Tomorrow you start. Cleaning, checking machine parts, lifting cargo. I'll teach you if you don't know something." Zura looked him in the eye. "I learn fast." David seemed satisfied. "Good, then we'll be fine." He left her alone for the night, but she didn't sleep right away. She stared at the ceiling, listening to her child's soft breathing. Then her eyes drifted toward the small window, and in the distance, she saw the dark shape of that locked shed. There was a faint sound, like metal scraping on metal. Something was alive in there. The next morning, the sky was still gray when David knocked on her door. "Wake up. Time to work." Zura stepped outside in worn clothes he had given her. Her child stayed asleep inside, tucked in safely. David handed her gloves and tools. He showed her how to clean the engine vents of large repair bots, how to sort wires by color and shape, how to use the shock wrench. She didn't speak much, but her hands worked quickly. He watched her closely all day. "You weren't lying," he said finally. "You do learn fast." By midday, he brought her a hot meal. Not much, but it was the first real food she'd had in days. She ate slowly, carefully saving half for her child. That afternoon, as she swept one of the tool sheds, she heard it again. A growl. Low, deep, animal. She froze. It came from the locked shed. Zura walked closer. Just a few steps. The air near it felt different, thick, electric, tense. The ground even seemed to vibrate. A sensor above the door blinked red. "Hey!" David's voice barked from behind her. "I said don't go near that." Zura turned slowly. "There's something in there." David's face turned serious. "Yes, something dangerous. And something I owe." She stared at him, confused. "I'll explain someday," he said. "But for now, stay away." Zura nodded. But deep inside, her curiosity was growing. What could a human living alone in the middle of nowhere be hiding in a locked shed with security sensors and warning signs? And, more importantly, why did it sound like it recognized her voice? Zura woke to a whisper, not from her child, not from David. From outside the dome. It was still dark, just before sunrise. Wind howled softly across the open desert, brushing against metal walls. But this whisper wasn't the wind. It sounded like words. Broken, strange, and not in any language she knew. She sat up fast. Her child slept peacefully beside her, arms wrapped around the edge of the blanket. Zura slipped on her boots and crept to the door. The whisper was gone now, but the air. It felt different, heavy. Waiting. She opened the dome's hatch slowly and stepped outside. The wind stung her skin. The desert was quiet, but not empty. The sky was turning pale. Machines around the farm blinked softly in standby mode. Then she saw it. The locked shed. The red warning light on its sensor wasn't blinking anymore. It was solid. Glowing. Something inside was awake. And watching. Later that morning, David handed Zura a toolbox and pointed to the tall fuel tower. "The top cables are fried. Climb up, cut them, and drop them down." Zura looked up at the long metal ladder, then nodded. Without a word, she began to climb. Other women might have said no, might have been scared. But she had climbed trees in war, towers in storms, and ruins during famine. This was just metal, halfway. Up, she looked out across the dry hills. Something moved in the distance. A group of figures. 5 or 6. Watching the farm. She narrowed her eyes. Hunters? Traders? Scavengers? She climbed back down fast. "There are people in the hills," she said. To David, he didn't look surprised. "Yeah, they've been watching for a while now." "Why?" "Because of what's inside the shed." Zura stared at him. "You said it was dangerous. Now you say it's being hunted." He sighed. "It's both." She wanted to ask more, but David turned and walked away. That afternoon, as they repaired the water pipe, Zura heard laughter beyond the fence, mocking laughter. 2 alien workers passed by, carrying a broken bot. One of them pointed at her. "Look, the human's charity case is working hard today." She ran off like the last one. "Once the kid gets sick again." Zura ignored them, but the words stabbed deep. She kept working, even as her hands blistered and the sun burned her skin. David saw it all. He didn't say anything. But later he dropped a cold drink beside her. "You're doing fine," he said. That night as she tucked in her child, he looked up at her. "Are we going to stay here, Mama?" She smiled. "If we can." But peace didn't last long. The next day, the group from the hills came closer. They didn't cross the fence, but their message was clear. They were waiting. Zura asked David again, "What's inside that shed?" David looked at her, tired. "Something I found during the war. Something they want dead. Why don't you give it to them?" "Because it saved me once," he said, "when I had nothing left. It didn't care I was human. It just protected me, and now it's injured, weak, and angry." Zura stood quietly. "It spoke to me." David froze. "What?" She nodded. The other night, in the wind. I don't know how, but it whispered to me. David looked pale for the first time. That shouldn't be possible, he said. It hasn't spoken in years. Zura didn't answer, but deep inside, something strange was blooming, a connection she couldn't explain. That evening, the wind returned. This time, the whisper was clearer. You remember me. She stepped outside again, drawn to the voice. Her child slept inside. Peaceful. The sky above was full of stars, and the desert glowed silver. Zura walked slowly, step by step, toward the shed. No alarms. No blinking lights. Just silence. She placed her hand on the cold metal door. From the other side, a voice not just in her ears, but in her mind spoke. You saved me once, and now I will save you. Her hand snapped back. Behind her, David stood in the dark. You heard it again, didn't you? He said. Zura turned. Yes. David stepped closer, looking worried. Then we don't have much time. Why? She asked. He looked toward the hills. Because others heard it too. Asterisk. The lock was broken. David didn't speak. Zura didn't breathe. The heavy metal door to the forbidden shed, the one David swore to keep shut, was now hanging open. Just a little. A cold mist spilled from the gap, like smoke from a dying fire. Zura's child was safe, sleeping in the dome, but something else had awoken. David stepped forward, holding a pulse lantern. Stay behind me. Zura didn't listen. She moved. Beside him, inside, the air was thick. The light from the lantern flickered, weak and nervous. The walls were lined with old blankets, medical supplies, and chains, thick chains, now broken. In the center of the room, something large was curled in shadow. It breathed. Once. Then again. Zura took a slow step closer. It was not a beast. Not exactly. It had 4 limbs, but not like an animal. Its body was large, muscular, covered in dull wounded armor. Patches of fur stuck out between armor plates. Its eyes were closed, but they twitched as if dreaming. It looked like it had once been powerful. Now it looked sad. David knelt beside it. Still alive, he said softly. Zura whispered. What is it? He looked up at her. It's called a cruelty. A Guardian-class war creature. They were bio-bonded to elite fighters. One warrior, one beast, linked by mind and soul. Her eyes widened. I thought they were all extinct. So did everyone else, David said. But this one survived. Zura stepped closer. She didn't feel fear. Not now, she felt. Remembered. The creature's breathing changed. Its eyes opened. They glowed faintly. It looked at her and didn't growl, didn't snarl. Instead, it spoke again, but not with sound, with feeling. You were there. The fire, the screams. A memory flashed in her mind. A battlefield, burning trees, voices crying. A huge shape had shielded her from an explosion long ago. She had been only a young medic then. Just a helper. That creature had saved her life. This creature. Zura gasped. I know you. David's eyes went wide. What do you mean? I saw it before, years ago. It covered me during the blast on Rilo's Ridge. I thought it died. David nodded slowly. It almost did. I found it afterward, broken and barely breathing. I hid it here, patched it together. But why? She asked. Because it saved me too. Outside, the warning alarm rang. David's communicator buzzed. He checked the screen. They're here. Who? The bounty hunters. The ones looking for this cruelty. They tracked the signal when it tried to speak to you. Zura looked at the creature. Then we have to move it. It can't walk, David said. Not yet. Then we fight, she said. We fight like it once did for us. They sealed the shed. David handed Zura a plasma tool. I hope you're better with this than a broom, she smirked. Much better. Together, they ran across the farm, setting up barriers. powering up defense drones, and hiding her child deep in a protected chamber. But nothing could hide the fear in her heart. Not for herself, for the creature, for her child. And for the human who had taken them both in. That night, as the wind rose again, the Graltech moved inside the shed. Its wounds pulsed with glowing blue light. It was healing, and it had remembered its bond, but not with David. With Zira. As her hands gripped the pulse blaster tighter, a strange warmth ran up her arms. The creature was inside her thoughts now. This time, I protect you again. And for the first time in her life, Zira didn't feel weak. She felt powerful, and she was ready. Asterisk. The sky bled red. It wasn't a sunset. It was dust and heat from Engine 6 bounty ships cutting across the desert sky. Flying low, fast and angry, Zira stood at the edge of the farm, gripping the blaster David had given her. She wasn't shaking anymore. The fear was gone. In its place was something colder, stronger. Resolve. Behind her, the Graltech stirred in the hidden chamber. It couldn't walk yet, but its presence was alive in her mind, pushing courage into her bones like fire. David checked the last drone. They're coming fast. These aren't random thugs. These are professionals. Zira nodded. Then we fight like professionals. David glanced at her. You're not the same woman I hired. No, she said. That woman was desperate. This one is dangerous. The bounty ships landed just beyond the outer fence. The ground shook under the force. The dust cleared, and figures stepped out armed, armored, and cruel. At the front stood a tall female alien with a silver mask. Her voice echoed through a speaker. Hand over the beast. Now, we know it's here. David stepped forward. There's no beast here, just rust and metal. The masked alien laughed. Don't insult my scanners. You fixed it. You fed it. Now we take it. Zira stepped out beside David, holding her weapon high. Come and try. There was a pause. Then weapons fired. The battle began. Lasers sizzled through the air. Drones flew up, firing bursts of light. Zira rolled behind a barrel, aimed, and took out one of the bounty scouts. Her hands moved faster than she remembered. The Graltech's energy pulsed inside her. David shouted from the other side. Left flank, 2 incoming. Zira turned and fired. 1 fell. The other screamed and vanished behind a wall. The fence exploded, sending parts flying. 3 bounty hunters rushed through. One aimed straight at Zira's dome, the place her child was hiding. Zira's heart stopped. No, not her child. Before she could react, Graltech roared. The sound shattered the night. It was still inside the shed, but now its eyes were glowing, and the chains that had once held it trembled. The creature was waking. David ducked behind cover. We can't hold them forever. Zira threw him a power cell. We don't need forever. Just long enough. Long enough for what? Zira looked toward the shed, for it to remember what it was. Inside, the Graltech stood. Slowly. Painfully. But fully. It stepped into the moonlight, its massive frame shining with new energy. Hunters froze when they saw it. Some took a step back. It's alive? It can't be. Its bonded look at her. All eyes turned to Zira. The Graltech stood beside her now, silent but deadly. Zira raised her voice. This farm is ours. This child is mine. This creature is free. You want to fight? She said. Then meet a mother who has nothing left to lose. The second wave of hunters never made it past the gate. The Graltech moved like thunder, tearing through attackers, slamming them aside, growling like a storm. Zira stayed beside it, firing, dodging, striking. She wasn't a warrior by training, but she was a mother, and mothers don't run. 30 minutes later, it was over. The ground was covered in scorch marks. Ships were smoking. The last hunter dropped her weapon and fled into the desert. Zira lowered her blaster. Her arms were trembling now, but with victory, not fear. David limped over, bleeding from a cut. You were amazing. She looked at him. So were you. He chuckled. You know, I think this place finally feels like home. She looked toward the dome, where her child peeked out from behind the door. Safe. Alive. The Graltek returned to the shed slowly. Limping, Zura followed it and whispered, "Thank you." It looked at her and replied not with words, but warmth. "We are bonded now, always, but in the shadows of the stars above." A silent signal blinked across the galaxy. Someone else had been watching, and they were not happy. The Graltek collapsed. 1 hour after the final hunter fled. The mighty creature, so strong, so proud, fell to the ground with a deep groan of pain. Zura screamed and ran to it. Nitrogen monoxide. "Stay with me." Its massive chest rose and fell slowly. Its body was covered in burns, cuts, and broken armor plates. Its mind still touched hers, but weakly now. Like a flickering flame in cold wind, David rushed over. "It used everything it had to protect us." Zura dropped to her knees. "We have to save it." David opened a small toolkit. "I'll try, but its body, it's more than muscle. It's a machine too. And it's shutting down." "No," she whispered. "You saved me once. Let me save you now." Inside the workshop, David began working fast. Sparks flew. Wires hissed. Zura held the creature's head gently, whispering soft words in her language. Her child sat nearby, wide-eyed, watching his mother fight to save a life. "You are not just a beast," Zura whispered. "You are my friend, my guardian, my home." Outside, the air shifted. A new ship entered the sky. It didn't roar like the others. It glided, silent, deadly. David's sensors beeped and turned red. He looked at the screen and froze. "This isn't a bounty hunter. This is something worse." Zura stood up, eyes hard. "Who is it?" He turned the screen so she could see. It showed a black mark, a royal seal. "The Collector," David said. "He gathers rare war creatures for his private army. Slavers, murderers. And he's come for the Graltek," she said. David nodded. "And he won't just take the beast. He'll take you too. Because now you're bonded to it." The Collector's ship landed without sound. The doors opened. A tall alien in a black cloak stepped out. His face was covered in silver paint, his eyes glowing with gold lines. He didn't bring an army. He didn't need to. He smiled at Zura. "You did well," he said. "I never thought a single mother would awaken the last Graltek. You must be very special." Zura raised her blaster. "He's not yours." The Collector didn't even flinch. "I don't need to fight. You'll come with me when your creature dies." Zura's voice shook with fury. "He won't die." "Oh, but he will," the Collector smiled. "You see, I created him long ago, before you were born, before your wars, before your child." Zura's heart froze. "You're lying. I designed the bond, and I can break it." Suddenly, the Graltek cried out in pain. Inside the workshop, it shook violently. Its body glowed blue, but then turned dark. Something was attacking it from the inside. Zura ran to it, placed her hand on its chest. She felt a cold surge run through her fingers. A poison. A command buried deep. David shouted. "He's triggering a kill code." "No," Zura whispered. "No, I won't let you." The Graltek looked at her with dim eyes. "Run. Protect your child." Zura closed her eyes, reached into the bond with all her strength. "Nitrogen monoxide. You protected me once. Now I protect you." A shockwave burst from her chest. That bright light exploded through the shed. The Collector's smile vanished. What are you doing?" Zura didn't hear him. She reached deeper, beyond her fear, beyond her pain, and poured everything into the bond. Her memories, her love, her strength, her sorrow, her motherhood. The Graltek's eyes flared open. The kill code shattered. It stood. Roared. And the Collector took a step back. "You were wrong. Zura said, stepping outside. I am just a mother, yes. But that means I fight harder than anyone you've ever faced. The Graltech charged. The collector's guards ran. His ship engines fired in panic. But it was too late. With a single strike, the Graltech shattered the front of the ship that exploded into fire and dust. The collector vanished in the flames. Later, that night, David sat beside the fire, bruised but smiling. Zura sat across from him, her child curled up in her lap. The Graltech rested behind them, its head gently leaning against her back like a massive living shield. David looked at her. You saved us all. She nodded slowly. This place, it's more than a farm now. It's a home, he said. She looked down at her child, then at the stars. And for the first time the farm was quiet again. No more alarms. No more ships in the sky. No more hunters at the fence. Only the soft sound of wind blowing through the towers, and the peaceful hum of machines waking back to life. But inside the dome, something louder was happening. Laughter. Zura laughed, real laughter, the kind that came from deep inside, the kind she hadn't felt in years. Her child was chasing a small cleaning bot, giggling as it spun in circles. David sat nearby, holding a mug of steam root tea. The Graltech lay in the sun, resting its heavy head on its paws, eyes half closed. Finally at peace. It looked like a strange family, because it was, but it was real. 3 days had passed since the battle. The farm still needed repairs. The fences had holes. The tools were scattered. Some drones were gone forever, but none of it mattered. They were free. Zura woke each day knowing her child was safe. She worked beside David, fixing machines, sharing meals, smiling without fear. The Graltech helped too, hauling scrap, lifting parts, standing guard at night without being asked. Something had changed. Not just in the farm. In her. She wasn't surviving anymore. She was living. One evening, David stood by the edge of the hill, looking out at the twin moons. Zura joined him, her hands dusty from the day's work. He didn't look at her right away. I was going to sell this place once, he said. Give up. Leave it all behind. Why? Didn't you? She asked. He smiled. Because a single mother walked into my life and reminded me what hope looks like. She looked away, heart beating faster. I thought no one wanted me. I was just a problem. With a child no one cared about. You were never the problem, he said. You were the answer. The next day, 2 travelers stopped by an older alien couple, tired and poor, with a baby wrapped in cloth. They asked for water, maybe a little food. Zura gave them shelter for the night, and when the woman cried from exhaustion, Zura stayed with her. I used to be in your place, she said softly. But someone gave me a chance. The woman looked up, surprised. A human? Zura smiled. Yes. And when the couple left in the morning, David added 2 more cots to the old storage dome. Zura didn't ask why. She already knew. A week later, the village sent a message. They wanted to apologize. The people who once laughed at her now called her the mother who tamed a Graltech. Some even offered trade deals. Zura didn't laugh at them. She only said one thing. I'm not for sale. Neither is my child. Or my life. The Graltech began building something outside the shed, stacking stones and scrap with purpose. When Zura asked what it was doing, David said, it's a nest. Not for sleeping, for staying. A home, she whispered. One night, as the wind blew soft and cool, David sat beside Zura and quietly asked, would you stay here? Not just as a worker? She looked into his eyes. You mean as what? As family, he said. She didn't answer with words. She took his hand. The Graltech let out a happy rumble behind them. And her child, already fast asleep nearby, smiled in his dreams. Far away, on another world, a message was passed through whispers and rumors. A human saved a forgotten alien mother. And she saved the galaxy's last protector. Together, they built something rare, something everyone else had stopped believing in. A future.